Algebra 2 stuff, we have ourselves an order of operations problem. You know what order of operations is. It's PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. What PEMDAS says is you do everything inside the parentheses first. Well, there is nothing inside parentheses. Then you do everything that deals with exponents second. Well, there is no exponents. Then the third thing you do is you multiply or divide left to right. It's not always multiply before you divide. It's multiply or divide left to right. I have a division guy right there. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. Drop down the 2 plus and drop down the plus 1. Now all of my multiply divide stuff is taken care of. Now we add or subtract left to right. So all we have is adding. 2 plus 6 is 8. Drop down the 1. And then 8 plus 1 is 9. And that's our answer. Fun. Algebra 2 stuff. Look at this order of operations problem. Now you know order of operations. It's PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. So the first thing you're going to do is everything inside the parentheses. I have one thing inside the parentheses. And if you're looking like, nuh-uh, I can't do anything with just a -4, but I can do something with 1 minus 5, that becomes -4. So now you drop down -4. Everything else comes along for the ride. -4 minus -4 squared. Lots of -4s in this guy. That's all right. It's all good. Second thing we're going to do is exponents. Okay, we have one exponent and it lives right there. Now, R2, R squared, is attached to the parentheses. It's not attached to you. It's attached to the parentheses and therefore everything inside it. So what are you multiplying by itself, or what are you multiplying by itself? -4 times -4, which becomes +16. Drop down the -4, drop down the double negative, drop down the minus. Okay? Now, the next thing that I deal with is multiply, divide, left to right. It doesn't mean multiply first. It doesn't mean divide first. It's multiply, divide, left to right. Technically, I have a negative being multiplied to a -4. But we're just going to be like, oh, that's just a double negative, so let's make you positive, which completes the multiply, divide part of our problem. So drop down the -4. Drop down the -16. And the last step is to add, subtract, left to right. It doesn't mean add first. It means add, subtract, left to right. So all we have is adding or subtracting. So we're going to do -4 plus 4, which is 0. Drop down the -16. And 0 minus 16, believe it or not, is -16. So that's our PEMDAS problem. Lots of fun. More Algebra 2 stuff. Look at this nutty order of operations problem. You know what order of operations are. It's PEMDAS. We're going to do parentheses first, and then you look at the problem and notice there are none. Then you're going to do exponents second. Then you look at the problem and say, there are none. Then you do multiply, divide, left to right. This does not mean you multiply stuff first, then divide. This means you scroll left to right, and whatever you hit first, you're going to do first. So what I see first is negative. Ooh, negative, not just 8, -8 divided by -2. So that part becomes +4. So let's drop everything else. 2 plus 4 minus 3 minus 12. Divide by -6 times -2. All right, so let's keep scrolling left to right. You're a plus sign, you're a minus sign, you're a double negative. Technically, double negative is a multiplication problem. A negative times a negative becomes a positive, so drop down the +12. So we can also drop down the 2 plus the 4 minus the 3 from here. Now it's +12 divided by -6 times -2. We still got multiplying, we still got dividing, so you scroll left to right. No, yes. 12 divided by -6 is -2. Drop down everything else. 2 plus 4 minus 3 minus 2 times -2. Are we done the MD portion of our problem? Nope, because we have -2 times -2, which becomes +4. So drop down 2 plus 4 minus 3. Are we done with our MD problem? Yep. So multiply, divide is done. Now it's add, subtract, left to right. This does not mean add first, then subtract numbers. This means go left to right, and if you see any adding or subtracting, you do it in that order. 2 plus 4 is 6. Drop down the -3. Drop down the +4. 6 minus 3 is 3. Drop down the +4. 3 plus 4 is 7. That's our guy. Now, if you're looking at this saying, couldn't I have done like a couple of these steps in one? Sure, but I'm making YouTube videos, and the longer the YouTube video is, the more money I make. So, it's all about me. All about me. Ooh, look at this Algebra 2 problem. We have to evaluate x parentheses 7 plus 3 close parentheses plus 1 minus y if x is 6, y is -5, and z is 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace x with 6, I'm going to replace z with 2, and I'm going to replace y with -5. Whenever you substitute a number into a variable, you need parentheses. So parentheses 6, okay. That opening parentheses z, which is 2, plus 3, close parentheses, plus 1, plus 3, minus, and then replace that y with -5. So some of these parentheses are useless, like that 6 I don't need, that 2 I don't need. So if you want to write it out realizing that some of these parentheses are not necessary, hey, be my guest, go ahead, but you don't have to do that. I'm going to leave that parentheses there because why not? PEMDAS says do everything inside groupings first, so that would be 2 plus 3. So you become 6 times 5, and you drop everything else down, plus 1, plus 3, minus -5. Then you deal with exponents. I don't have any exponents. Then you deal with multiplying, dividing left to right. So this is a multiplication problem. You become 30. So 30 plus 1 plus 3. And you know what? A double negative is technically a multiplication problem. So plus 5. Once you're done the multiplying, dividing portion of the problem, you add left to right. So 31 plus 3 plus 5 is 34 plus 5, and at the end of the day, you get 39. That's our answer. So evaluate means substitute numbers in first, then do some PEMDAS order of operations stuff to finish out the problem, and we did. Simplify 10n minus 4n. Well, let's just say that you had 10 ninjas and someone were to take away your 4 ninjas. Oh no, what would you have left over? 6 ninjas, of course. Well, that was fun. Thanks for watching. Ooh, look at this Algebra 2 problem. We are to simplify, which involves a little guy called distributive property. Distributive property is when you have a number in front of a group of parentheses and you're adding or subtracting or both inside of the parentheses. So we are going to distribute twice. So 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 9v, positive 9v is 7 times 9, which is 63. And v comes along for the ride. Now be very careful. You're not distributing 8. You're distributing -8. So you have -8 times -5, which is plus 40v, and -8 times -6, which is plus 48. Now that we have numbers and we have coefficients attached to variable v, we can combine like terms. Some teachers might want you to put the variables first, so why don't we do that just to be consistent? If we have a 63v, that combines with a positive 40v, which gives you 103v. Okay, add the numbers and attach the v. Now what we have left over is just regular old constants, 7 and 48. Those add together to make 55. Now, if you're wondering, how do I combine these? You don't, because you can't. One has a variable, the other one doesn't. So we're done here, and our answer is 103v plus 55. Combining like terms, distributive property, great times.